Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rolling With It podcast. Today, I'm here with Drea Aguilar. She's got a passion for dream weaving because you can't spell dream without Drea. I love that. She's a midwife to your dreams becoming reality. She deeply cares about co-creating a new paradigm where everyone has their basic needs met and has the opportunity to heal. This happens by inspiring others and becoming solution-based and actionable in healing trauma. She's a woman of color, of Filipino heritage, living in occupied Serrano territory in the mountains of Lake Arrowhead, California. And her life started with the death of her mother when she was 2 years old, where they immigrated from Seoul, South Korea. And just as her mother died, her dad couldn't take the pressure and the sadness, leaving her under the care of her aunt. The core wounds she's worked through are abandonment, raised under the indoctrination of colonial rule, and punishment for asking too many questions. She's now become your guide to holding up a mirror for your own divinity, as she's discovered hers. By working with her, you'll break through your limited beliefs, learn how to be a quantum manifestor, discover your gifts, and share your magical medicine and service. What is up, Drea? Thank you for being with me on this program.
Thank you. Hi. I'm so happy to be here with you. My birthday twin.
Yes. Yes, both of our birthdays are on May 2nd, and we both joined this coaching program last year. And there was like a thread on like something that was posted
on the Facebook group.
On the Facebook when your birthday was, and I don't know if you wrote it or I wrote it. I wrote May 2nd, and you were like, "That's my birthday too," and that's how we started getting connected. Excited. Yeah,
It's the best day on the calendar, really.
I completely agree. So very, very cool. You're into Reiki, and you really starting from this like journey that you had, your mother passing away, you growing up with just your aunt and stuff. We touched on a previous conversation where this really kind of led you onto your own path to be your own conscious mother, right? Your Instagram handle is Conscious Mother. So can you expand a bit on that, on your journey into coming into being the conscious mother for yourself?
Yes. Just to clarify, was with my dad, but my aunt mostly raised me, and because she was basically my nanny. And so there was a longing and a yearning to have a mother, and I felt like I didn't, even though my dad remarried and she was meant to be my stepmother. I called her mom, but there was I felt like the love was missing, the understanding and the compassion for my situation. It felt lacking, whether that was self-perpetuated and it projected onto this person, or if she's meant to just be that catalyst of learning for me of what it meant to be a mother and a conscious mother. And for most of my life, I was pretty convinced I would never have children. I was like, no, it's not for me. I don't even know how to be a mother because I didn't have one. And what does that even mean? And so it was after Burning Man and being with my husband, Ryan, for 4 years, the call just like hit me. It's time. Let's go. I was downloaded with his name. His name is Zephyr. Whether he was to be born a boy or a girl, it would have been Zephyr. Zephyr being the west wind. And there's the west wind that brings in the abundance, right, of spring rain. Mm-hmm. And so my journey as a mother, it started being pregnant, and I was also getting into my spirituality at the same time. It was like when I said yes to finding myself, to healing myself, motherhood was the big, like, calling. It's time. Let's go. Right. And I had quit my job. I was a reality TV producer for 9 years. And I quit my job for Burning Man to have this crazy art project representing diversity on the playa. The playa is the location of where we're at Burning Man. And after that, dust settled, and I realized that like maybe Burning Man was just the impetus of like, here, quit your job, this isn't working for you, because I thought I was just going to be like a traveling like circus. For a long time I was like, I'm just going to live this burner lifestyle, and the party will never end. And I realized I was like, this isn't actually what I want, and motherhood, this is the next step. So I began to learn about energy more, meditation, and what it means to be a spiritual light worker. And then I was pregnant almost immediately. Our birthday is on Beltane, right? And so we had a fertility ritual. We jumped over the fire. We wrote letters to Zephyr. And that full moon, the Wesek full moon, I became pregnant. So it was so divine, right? Like this manifestation, this calling in, answering like the mysteries of the universe and saying, yes, I trust you. Even though this scares the crap out of me, I'm ready. And it was when I was giving birth, I had a very traumatic experience. I thought I had it all planned. And most mothers will say the same story of like, I had this perfect vision of what my birth would look like, all natural with oil, lights and candlelight, you know. And he didn't want to come out basically. And so they, without my consent, popped my amniotic sac. And that caused a herniated like umbilical cord, which began to choke him. And his heart rate started to go. And that was terrifying. And thank God for my tools of like, okay, if I can connect to my breath, I can calm my nervous system and move through this with way more grace, even though I'm terrified right now, because this is risking his life. And then there was a moment after he had come out and I like closed my eyes. I really thought that in that moment I was going to die. And maybe a part of me did, because I was having visions for the next 3 days of seeing angels and all these beings around me. And perhaps it was just like this reassurance that I was supported on the other side. And I dealt with that trauma for a good year of like just sitting in this anger and resentment, and it bled into my mothering. It bled into my relationships. I cut myself off from everybody, and it was a lot of recovery. And it wasn't until meeting Preston and Alexi and Bridge coming into our life. This is a personal development workshop and leadership program. I dissolved my ego and really stepped into, what does it mean to be a conscious mother? And can I be a conscious mother with that awareness with my son, with myself, and also be that like guiding light for others, for so many women who have the mother wound, who felt like their mother didn't see them, hear them, or appreciate them, or understand them, or shut them down. And I just want to be that presence. It's like, yes, I believe in you. You are magical. You have medicine. You can express your gifts fully and be creative, because that's our birthright as humans. We get to be co-creators of this universe. And that's the message of Conscious Mother.
So it's such a beautiful journey to just kind of hear how you've come into this space and what caused it and the trauma that you dealt with your son, because I feel like when we're coming into a space of a calling, or like that we're guided to or something, there's always some challenge or something that we have to go through to maybe align to that. And it's interesting to me because I've had both my parents, so I had that, but I didn't have conscious parents. And we all, in a sense, I feel like all kind of are brought in. Most of us, I feel like, don't have conscious parents. And so I've had to also get into my own process of figuring out how to be that conscious parent for myself, and hearing you say use your birthright and you can do, like, you really embody it. I could like totally feel your energy when you say that. Like, I believed in myself just hearing you say that, right? And it's I don't know, it touched me. It's awesome that you're embodying this role, and it's cool because you come from a place of not having a mother.
Thank you.
You know, and you have how many kids now? You have 3 kids,
no,
right?
I have 1 child. Count my dog and my husband.
Why did I think you had? Oh, there you go. I don't know why I thought you had 3 kids. Okay, you have
You're
one.
seeing in the future.
Yeah, yeah, or hopefully not, depending on what your take is.
I don't know if I want another child, but there's like this longing, like, yeah, I'm ready to have another one. So maybe you're just predicting something.
Yeah, maybe there's a premonition here. I don't know. We'll come back to it in the future. But how have you seen? How old is your kid?
He's 3. Mm-hmm.
He's 3. So you've probably implemented a lot of. I mean, have you taught him meditation at a young age, right? Like, how are you implementing these practices at 3 years old or before?
I want to first say that because I didn't have a mother, and having lost someone at 2, there was a lot of grief there. And I recognize that a lot of the times when I'm feeling triggered, I come back to that 2-year-old, and it's I've seen this parallel timeline of myself and my son growing up together. And so I do find myself in these little tantrums of being a little kid, and I'm not being heard, I don't feel seen, and then we'll get into these little spats, right? Like this recognition of we're both kind of, my little kid is kind of bumping up against his energy, and I just it's a deep lesson for me. As I develop him, I get to redevelop myself, reparent myself, and be kind and graceful when I do lose I don't know if I can cuss, but when I do lose my shit.
Yeah, of course you can.
When I lose my shit, it's okay, can I come back? And so the tools that we've been implementing with him is modeling, right? Even when I'm losing myself in emotion, and he can witness me coming back to myself, or with the support of my husband, who's an angel, literally, we go, okay, daddy's going to meditate now. He's going to do his breath work every single day. That's a non-negotiable. Okay, mommy's turn to go meditate. And then when he starts to feel riled up, or we see his nervous system starting to shake, we're like, okay, let's breathe. Can we come back to it? A lot of what's been really helpful, and this is from the Positive Discipline book, is redirection, right? Redirecting what's currently happening and shifting the focus so that we can bring him back. And then it's a lot about getting down to their level, like getting down on your knees, making eye contact, creating touch, and saying, I hear you. I hear that you want jelly beans right now. And now is not the time. It's 9:00 in the morning, And so that acknowledgement, I feel like, many of us who grew up with unconscious parents, we had been shut down from our emotions, shut down from our ideas and our questions. And so it's I hear you, and I'm getting down to see you and connect with you. And Ryan has come up with this term, and maybe he read it in a book, but releasing the fear in his body. So when he starts to get worked up, we're like, okay, we need to release the fear. What does it sound like? Do you need to let it out? Can you have your full emotion and complete it? And so if he is losing his mind and he's screaming or crying or really mad, I allow it. I'm like, okay, you can feel this way. That's all right. And then he completes it, and then he's over it, and he just moves on. which,
Good.
you know, has
Yeah.
been, I think, problematic in the past, where we didn't have the resources or tools to manage our emotions, and we learned to stuff it down. And that built a layer after
Right.
layer after layer of suppressed emotions that leads to toxic behavior. And then we are little kids hurting each other, pointing the finger, screaming out blame, when if we just allowed ourselves to fully complete our emotions. I'm really mad right now, so I feel like screaming, or I'm going to take this bat and I'm going to hit the pillow. You know, just like that somatic release of getting it out of the body and allowing it to complete itself. That's how we recover quickly.
I feel like as a society, you know, doing the work we do with people and stuff, like we've learned to feel our pain to a certain degree, right? And then we don't go further than that. We've learned to feel our joy to a certain degree, and then we don't go further than that. And so it's like we're not fully living life, because life is about the depths of both sides of it, like feeling all of your pain and to the extent and yelling or whatever you got to do to move through that energy, and then even being able to celebrate to you know a certain extent. People cut themselves off so much, and it has to do, you know, when you releasing the fear from the body, we're actually storing, right? When we suppress these emotions, we're actually storing this physical energy. I don't think people realize that it's physical energy, but it's physical energy that gets stored in your body, and then that drives all the negative behaviors, right? And we get stuck in this like blame and I'm right, you're wrong, and we get stuck in these like hardwired beliefs. And you know, we're living in such a crazy time right now, where there's just so much polarity, and there's just so much like, you know, there's everybody believes they're right. There's so much misinformation. You don't know what to believe anymore, and so even more so, it's like important to really implement a lot of these like conscious practices and stuff. How have you been able to navigate these times? As you know, I think for a lot of us, at least for me, like it was like, oh, like I've been doing this work for a while. I'm awake. I'm enlightened. I'm able to do this. Then COVID happened, and I'm like, oh, like I'm like everybody's pissing me off again, and I'm like, you know, I kind of out, and I had to just take the work to another level. So how have you used this time for, you know,
It
your own
certainly
evolution?
has been a duality, right, of like all of the feelings and navigating by connecting to the inner compass, my big why. Why am I here? It was almost like I was like, oh, I think I've been preparing for this for lifetimes. Because when I was growing up, and perhaps this is due to trauma, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's due to trauma, I had a very apocalyptic mind where I always thought the world was going to end. And I guess in a way it has. And there is a lot of polarity, separation, and misinformation. And so when we connect to our truth, and that is our heart space, right? As we talk about heart coherence, the heart speaks in concisely and in one sentence. So connecting to the heart, remembering that we are just not a head that exists. We have a body as well, and our heart is that first intelligence. And so what helps me discern everything that's going on, which I like soak up like a sponge, almost kind of like, honestly, I've never said this out loud. It feels like entertainment or like, okay, I see all these, there's just so many stories, right? There's like, oh, this is happening and this, and this disclosure, this telling of the truth, this lifting of the veil has been pretty much a premonition, or has been like said out loud that this was going to happen. And so with that knowing, it's like, can I connect to my truth? We talk about fifth dimensional being, right? And to me, that definition is like, am I choosing love in this moment? Am I choosing love in every moment? Can I discern, am I choosing from fear or love? And that's really helped me through this all. And sticking to my health and wellness has been really key, right? Movement, supplements, eating well, getting sunlight, like that all has helped. Also, escaping LA. The moment COVID happened, my whole business as a Reiki practitioner who saw people in person with this crystal bed that I work with, everything got shut down. And for a moment, I was like, my life is over, as many people thought. And it was actually kaboom that so synchronistically happened at the same time we went into lockdown. That was when I entered my first week into this like accelerator program for coaching. And I never considered myself a coach, and probably have always been one. And I've just been that supportive role,
Right.
someone who can actively listen and reflect back. And so I switched my whole business online. I recognized that like there was this block that I felt that I couldn't heal at a distance. And what we are taught in Reiki is energy is not bound by time or space. So I began doing distance healings, and they were really powerful and effective, holding circles, Reiki shares, where people were just sharing their energy and being with one another. Because in the community, if we are, when we create community, we can heal and magnify and amplify this healing energy with no bounds. Like, it was what supported me through the whole time was community, being stepping into my leadership and recognizing like time to get out of LA. This is too much energy. I'm boxed in with all of these apartments around me, and the trees are calling me. So let's go. And Ryan thought I was being escapist. Like, you're just running away. Are you doing that thing again? I'm like, I don't know. I'm really called to leave. And so separating myself from all of the people as a very highly sensitive person was I think the most helpful to navigate and get through this last year.
It's an accelerator itself, COVID, right? It's pushed us in these directions, and I didn't move as fast as you did. It took me COVID started in March. I moved in January, so I was still there for like 10 months. But I was in Texas all this time, and it was also building like, I don't know what I'm doing here anymore, kind of thing. And I'm not connecting with people in the same way, and I'm also empathically like taking on people's fears and stuff. And when I visited Sedona for the first time, I was just in December. I was just like, I'm supposed to be here, and it was just that calling, just like you said. And energy healing. You talk about Reiki, and being a Reiki practitioner, and I've done Reiki level 1 and 2. And I feel like in my own energy healing practice, it's similar, but it's just been kind of like I've gone away from like the symbols and stuff as much, and just kind of like a straight and intention. I did a lot of like Dr. Joe Dispenza work and stuff like that. And just like as you said, like energy is non-local, right? Like so, and I think this wows like a lot of people, because it's like you don't have to be present to send energy to someone. You can literally think about them, or being on a Zoom call or something like that, and send energy across the globe to another person, and they feel it and they experience healing from it and stuff like that. And so, do you ever come across like people like what do you mean distance healing? How does that work? Or coming across people like that, or like even just do you explain it a certain way?
All the
for people
time.
to understand.
And I still, in my own mind, feel like, I'm so out there and people won't get it. But I feel like more people are waking up to it. And how I describe distance healing is we're actually removing the physical body. And it's actually more effective and powerful to work at a distance, because you're only working straight with the energy. And, and everything is energy. And when we think of when we talk about quantum, right, we live in an electric universe, meaning everything is connected. And with intention and working with source energy, when we say life force energy, right, in Reiki class, they're like, it's the highest good of all. When I work with that intention, I can transmit that energy directly to you. And I use some tools to help manage that. Like, if we get in the way, if our mind is not open to it or we're skeptical, it's not going to be as effective. But there are tools in which we can help create the brainwave state in which they can't fight it, right? Binaural beats. I use it every single healing. I love it. It's transformed my life. Even when I was still working in reality television, it would help me relieve my stress. It would help me on all the numerous planes that I've been on and off of. And so I use binaural beats to help access a brainwave state and theta healing. So I walk you through a breath work meditation, and we reprogram your subconscious during this healing. And it's so powerful. The results can almost be instant if you truly believe it, right? That quantum leap can happen instantaneously with trust, presence, and joy. I call that the Holy Trinity. So when we connect to the Holy Trinity, we become unstoppable. And so, yeah. Thanks for that question, because it's actually never come up.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned that when it's distance healing, it's only about the energy. And are you saying that because when you're present with somebody, there might be more biases or judgments or something like that?
Yes. It was a concept that I learned through pranic healing, which actually is more structured and less. There's no touch involved in pranic healing, and they the concept is it's more effective when we're at a distance.
Yeah, you talk about quantum, and the reason why non-local, energy is non-local, and it makes sense. There was what's it called, slit experiments or something. It was they split up an atom and put it in two different locations, and on the quantum level, when they mess with one atom, the other atom was automatically affected instantaneously. So it was just when you get into the quantum or in the electricity really of everything, like you said, it really is about that we are all connected and that we are all part of this thing. And even though we see separation, we are actually all one. And that's what I feel like when we really get into quantum talk.
Absolutely.
That's really what we're talking about.
The double slit experiment, right? And then nothing is actually solid. Everything is a wave, right? And it's only when it becomes observed that it becomes solid, that it becomes matter. And so our thoughts and emotions directly affect our reality. So that's what we're creating, right? And you had a Dr. Joe Dispenza quote in there in your book, and it says, the best way to predict your reality is to create it. So profound and so simple.
Right. Absolutely.
And so the question is what are we creating in this world?
Right. And it's funny because, Dr. Joe says, you can be, if you're playing the victim or you're getting stuck blaming, are you blaming or are you creating? And it's really getting to a place of understanding that every thought you're thinking and every, action, everything every behavior you're choosing to experience is creating some level of your reality. And, we don't realize that we can change things because we're so wired subconsciously to being a certain way, right? Dr. Joe says that 95% of us is subconscious, so that basically means that 95% of you are just habit. And so people end up accepting their personalities being a certain way. That's just the way I am, because you've just administered a certain behavior for so long. But it's things like meditation and energy healing and, working with somebody like this to get in there and, reprogram things so that you can change your reality. And that's what we're talking about on a quantum level, when we can really move into a place of creation.
That's the goal, right? This earth game that we chose to be part of, especially in this time of uncertainty and shift. We're in a huge gray area, and now it's become a choice. What do you choose in this moment? Do you choose to change, or do you choose to go back to level one?
Exactly. And, this brings up kind of like the conversation we had before we started recording. You said you read like half my book last night, and you got into the part of the dark night of the soul and kind of the space that you understood about your own depression and anxiety and stuff. Do you want to touch on that, on what you got from that chapter, and
I loved what you said
your
when
own
it was like
realizations
it's
now?
when we have those high pressure moments of negativity, of doubt, of fear and paranoia, and when we come out on the other side, we just have this greater appreciation and gratitude and clarity for why we're here and what we're meant to do. And without pressure, we can't create diamonds. So, these contractions is part of the expansion. And we get to dance with this wave. What we know for certain is that there is a frequency and it's always going up and down. And so can we step out of our experience and be the observer and recognize like, oh, here's my shadow phase coming up again, because everything is a cycle. Everything is a season, and it's a spiral of healing. It's not linear. It's a damn roller coaster, and it's going to flip you upside down. It's going to ram you into the floor, and it's going to shoot you up into heaven. And like, you're like going to have this ecstatic bliss of like, right? Like feeling weightlessness for a moment. And it's in those moments where we get to like really experience bliss and recognize that all of the emotions are welcome. That's how we fully integrate and embody our humanness and connect to our soul essence, our true being. Is yes, all of it is welcome here. And I just came out of a shadow experience this whole month. I committed to 3 sessions of combo, which is a great reset of the system, a purging on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, and energetic. And it's like the divine intelligence of healing. When you say yes to it, it's like, okay, you want to go there? Let's go. And and I was just confronted with so many things, one after the other. And at the same time, putting myself through hell, turning into a frog, your whole body swells and you purge bile, you purge foam, and all this stuff is coming out of your body. And it was this like reflection of like, I'm going through this and I see the pattern, I see the wave, and I recognize that when I see it and I become aware of it, what do I choose? And what really helped was like, family, you got to get out of the house. I got to be alone, and you can go to your mom's house and hang out with grandma. And I found myself being able to recover and come back to myself, recenter and realign, and come back to this relationship with deeper love, which in the past was much more difficult. There was a lot of like blame. And I'm just going to be upfront with this. What was coming up at the tail end of this dark night of the soul was our relationship with alcohol. We had gone on a road trip, and we were like, oh, we can just have a little fun. And it never is. Like this spirit of alcohol is a lower vibration, right? So, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't drink, but being aware of it. And what the consequences are and how it can affect our relationships. And so I recognized like, oh man, it's happening again. And then I came to the decision that I'm going to choose love this time. I'm not going to blame. I'm not going to go back to that really hurt little girl that says, I'm being abandoned again. I can't trust you. When, all I have is myself to trust. And trust that, like, recognize the evidence of, like, you are in fact loved so much, and to throw it all away is a choice. And is that the choice you really want to make?
I love that. I feel like you really express all of this like really well, really eloquently, and And that really is the journey, you know, like you saying that you've come back to realizing that you're able basically to come back to center, you know, easier than it was before. And that's kind of the thing. I think, you know, when we kind of embark on a spiritual journey, it's so heavy at first, and we, you know, there's so much to move through. And then as you see yourself years down the line, like, oh, like I still have the same kind of feelings or same kind of issues that come up, but now I'm able to kind of move through it quicker, come back, and then I'm at a greater level of awareness and a better understanding that, like, oh, drinking is, you know, bringing me on a different path, and is that what I want to choose? And, you know, and we just get more and more, we're more and more control, I guess, in choosing the thoughts and not allowing ourselves to stay stuck in a thought pattern and stuff like that. So, you know, thank you for expressing it in that way. I think it really showed what it is and what it feels like, and, you know, being kind of raw about it. Cool. So, you know, coming into, you know, you read my book, or you read, like, you know, most of my half of it or whatever, and I'm kind of interested in, like, what is the sense that, you know, you're getting of my journey and the lessons I'm trying to, like, portray, because I feel like we're birthday twins. I feel like, you know, we do have a lot of similarities. I'm curious to, you know,
I was
what
just
you're
like,
getting from
oh
that.
my gosh, like I should have read this earlier so I could finish it before this conversation. Because, I mean, the moment you started in the first chapter, I was like, yep, that's me. That's me. That's me. It's so relational. Like, I can really feel your story and feel your words and the relationships and the lessons and the hardships that you've went through. It's like feeling for you through every step, and just in such deep admiration of your will and trust that this was all meant for something. And now you're here creating this platform and sharing your own medicine and magic. And what really stood out to me was just like, the relationships. I particularly love the story and what you shared with Vishal, your cousin, and how deep of an inspiration he was throughout periods of your life, and continues to still be there for you. It was so good. Yeah, and
I'm getting mad
he
chills
is
just
here.
by you saying that,
We
to be
kind of
honest.
touched
It's like,
on
I
it a
almost
little
feel
bit
like
earlier, and
his
I had
presence
chills,
is
and I
here.
felt like crying because I can feel him, and I can feel that infinite love, right? And all you need is love. That was like so poignant, and like his playlist and how. Okay, I'm getting emotional, but how he planned to create this moment for family to come together,
Ugh.
knowing that it was over, but like he still like lives on. It was it touched me so much.
Well, it's like, you know, like just so you, like, from like my perspective, just kind of hearing you, you know, being emotional about it, and you know, it's kind of amazing. But just for whoever's watching, you know, read my book, because it really goes this into detail. But Vishal was a cousin of mine who had cancer since he was like 18. He was 4 years older than me. He was like my big brother, and he died February 2011, like right before he was turning 31. And, you know, we learned that he had done like a lot of like acts of kindness and acts of service without telling anyone, just going to hospitals and like helping people. And we learned about that. And, you know, he planned his funeral. He made because he knew he was going to pass away. He made a playlist of all the Beatles, and it was all centered around "All You Need Is Love," the song "All You Need Is Love." And so he really was his passing was ridiculously impactful. And really was set me on this journey even more of embodying that and learning and helping others as well.
You know,
so
and for him to
I'm
be
really grateful
there,
to see your emotion
was part
and
of, like,
and
to
your,
be the one to find you.
Yeah.
Of course, he's an angel. He's an angel.
Right. Yeah, when I had my fall. Yeah, absolutely. And he comes to me in dreams. He comes to me in, I feel like, he's like literally like he's part of my intuition. You know what I mean? Like he is really on this journey with me. So,
and I just have to say, like, I can just feel the immense love that he is sharing with you at every moment. He's such a beautiful spirit. I'm just so moved by the story, your story, and your family, and what you've all created together.
Yeah, thank you. And at the end of the day, as we do, like, this is all guided. Like, this is all like orchestrated. And like none of us chose to be here. Like we didn't know it was gonna like look like this or turn out like this. And it's really just been following the breadcrumbs and coming into this to be able to embody this and to live this purpose. And it's gratifying. It's like to see that, hey, like I went through so much, we went through so much, and it is impactful and it helps a lot of people. And the big reason why I really wanted to be descriptive about the shawl, because one, obviously he played such a role in my life, but I know that he's going to play a role in so many others. Like
the ripple effect, right? Just just that tiny drop.
Feeling all the stuff right now
of our minute existence can like create this tsunami that moves through the collective and can be so life-changing.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing, for other light workers out there and other people just like on the journey. Like, I think it's easy to kind of get kind of caught up in like, who am I really helping? Or like, if we don't have a big following or like, whatever that looks like for you, like you have no idea like what you're doing. You have no, like, even if you didn't say anything, like, sometimes it's just your presence and like the ripple effects of all these things. Like, we have no idea. And like, it is important to, one, keep getting back up, right? Like, we get knocked down a lot. Just keep getting back up and keep going and trusting, and it's all going to unfold and really interesting.
And that's really what we get to hold on to as shoulders, as the bridge to this new paradigm of what we call heaven on earth. It can, in fact, be created right now. And we're creating it every day.
And, I know you work with, you teach people Reiki, you work with, other light workers and things like that, and one-on-one coaching and all that stuff. So share a bit about,
what you
do,
space.
People who are interested in working with you.
I am a quantum healer, meaning we can travel through timelines and dimensions and do fully integrated healing. We're serving the entire self. And I do that through energy healing. I do that through personal development coaching. And I guide Reiki trainings and courses online. And I'm about to do it in person again. And so the container that I've created is the fundamental problem that I see with Reiki trainings is it's only one day for level 1 and level 2. And sometimes you get both in one weekend. And it's like, that's a lot of information. That is a lot of ancient teaching that you cannot cram in just 4 hours. It makes no sense. And I remember, right? Right?
That was my
leave the weekend and you're like, did I do anything?
It was done in the weekend.
Right? Because, energy is invisible in this plane. And without practice, without guidance, and without a safe container to practice, I felt like I was left out for the wolves. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so it just took a lot longer for this process to unfold. It took me about 1.5 years to even be confident to be paid for what I do. And so what I want out of these trainings is to help you connect to your own medicine. Reiki is the gateway. Reiki is a Japanese healing art form that Master Asui was downloaded and channeled with, and he was the one that put it on paper. This technology of healing has started from the beginning of time, right? We could look at the Egyptians, the Atlanteans, and the Lemurians. They've always worked with energy. And so I wanted to help you connect to your own medicine and understand that, like, we can honor this lineage, but also it's important to discover your own. And so my sister and I, Veronica, she's my sister-in-law, but more of my family than really anybody, we teach this container so that you have accountability and practice and get all of your questions answered in a week. And so they get attuned on the last weekend. And so that's all done online, and we create that space so we can activate as many people as possible. I also do one-on-one coaching and a group coaching program that I'm about to turn into a year. And this is called Crystalline Alchemy. Alchemy is the transformation of our story into our gold, our purpose, our mission, and why we're here as light workers. And it's first learning how to work with our shadow, fully integrate it, getting out of our own way, and being confident and empowered enough to fully express ourselves through our magic, through our words, through our roles in, this social change ecosystem that Deepa Iyer, who is a South Asian lawyer who is here for social change, and she created this framework, and it dropped right during COVID, and I was like, this is saving my life. And so I use her framework in every class of, like, what is your role in social change?
Wow.
If you truly want to see heaven on earth, we got to take inspired action. And so your medicine is needed at this time. How can we draw that out of you and heal that witch wound, that fear of persecution or judgment from being in your truth, right? Like, many of us women who are naturally gifted with psychic ability, we had to hide that. Because if we didn't, we would be killed. And you see it get shut down, like what you talked about earlier, is like these emotions and these gifts get shut down.
Right.
And so let's turn it back on. And that is what Reiki is. We activate your inner power. And it's not just this healing modality where you put your hands on someone and you say you're healed. No, this is a process, and this is an activation of your gifts. And how you use Reiki is making it your life intentional. Reiki is a lifestyle. Reiki is your purpose. So that is, in a nutshell, what I do.
I love it. Definitely hit up Drea if you're interested in learning Reiki in a very, more integrated way, I'll say, than a lot of traditional stuff.
Thank you.
And, thank you so much for being on this with me. I feel like this was such a great conversation. So I look forward to other
soon.
things.
Visit you in Sedona, or you can come here and we can play with the
I'm looking
quantum
forward
energy.
Yeah, so I'm sure, we're going to definitely collaborate more in the future. But thanks again for being on the podcast with me, and for everyone watching. Stay tuned for the next episode next week. So have a good one, y'all, and until next time. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode. Just wanted to come on here and share with you, if you don't know already, I've written a book called Rolling With It, Lessons Learned While Sitting Down. Rolling With It is the same name as this podcast. Check it out on Amazon. I go deep into my journey from having my accident back in July 29, 2006. So, and really that being the catalyst to my spiritual journey. And I go deep, and I'm raw, and I'm real, and I share with you all my experiences and all the things I've learned along the way. So definitely check it out, guys. Rolling With It, Lessons Learned While Sitting Down. Have a great rest of your day.